Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. The show will begin momentarily.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
Hello, welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode 0xaf out of F. It's the 176th episode, I believe. And reminder, nothing on the show's financial advice. And stay tuned after all the updates for the weekly AMA. This week on Number Go Up, as always, is corruption. And uniquely, the number of FTX arrests, which is one so far. Let's see if we get past that. And also, is it not interesting to note that immediately after, when everything was exposed and the collapse happened, the media paraded Sam around and tried to throw softball questions and you're just tired, you just kind of got it over your head and all that, when it was obvious that it didn't fly, and there was actual outrage and surprise that they were doing that. Now all of a sudden they arrest him, and it's all theater, so it'll be interesting to know what actually happens. Does the guy actually go to prison? Do they actually take away the properties that his parents bought with that money? Let's see what really happens instead of just paying attention to the frog marching theater that's going on. Next, let's see here. We go to Dragonchain updates. So Super Happy Dragon Lucky last week, our lot distribution for this lair was 394 lot. There were 3 questions or topics for 65 lot each. There was no featured post last week. The host received 65 lot and Dragonchain received 132 lot. Something we wanted to see is, this is the very last before we flip the 16s place on the episode number, and it would have been pretty cool if we would have changed the format every time that happens, every 16 shows, as if they were kind of like seasons. But that's up to you now. So if you have any ideas, even if it's not before next week, you guys now have lot. You can make proposals to get rid of segments, to add segments, to add interviews back in, although you would have to help in finding those people to interview and things like that. But feel free to make suggestions, and we'll be able to vote on it. We haven't had any for a while for format changes or changes to this show, this update, the update material. So anyway, that's there now. So it's up to you. And another update from Dragonchain, there was a new capability brief posted on enterprise NFTs. Dragonchain offers the only scalable and interoperable enterprise grade NFT option on the market, proven with DEN. It is remarkably easy to put in place, remarkably easy to execute, and even to integrate with external systems. We've done it a good few times, and I don't even know what the total number is, but there's 100+ million, 153 million. I think that's right. No, I'm waiting for the judges. It's going to be in here somewhere in my notes. That there are a tremendous number of NFTs that were created so far on Den. And you can imagine if you needed to use NFTs for supply chain or something industrial, we're the only game in town, the only way to do that. And we've proven it and it works, right? So anyway, take note, spread that around. They are affordable, more flexibility to businesses that have a legitimate reason to leverage non-fungible. And it could be for entertainment as well. You know, we could have, we have a much more scalable and, by the way, importantly, user-friendly option, even for grandma safe NFTs, right? So anyway, that's the Dragonchain update. Den.Social updates for the lair creation process in December 2022. LCP commitment phase starts today. So per a prior DENDAO vote, I think it was 2 months ago, the winners will be the #1 lair proposal as ranked by unique voter, the #8 lair proposal as ranked by lore committed, and the #21 lair proposal as ranked by lore committed. I think this is the first month that we are doing that. So it would have been a month-ish ago that would have been decided. And it'll be interesting because that's quite a wide spread and it's much lower on the lore ranking, which will mean that there will probably be fewer lot created for those lairs, which is super interesting. All commitments of lore will need to be made by next Tuesday, December 20 at 10 a.m. Eastern US and 3 p.m. UTC time, 1500. And then with Coffee with Den, watch this Wednesday at 0900 Eastern, 0600 Pacific. Everyone who participates in the show will earn Coffee with Den lot. And it's a similar feature that they can modify the show and kind of control how it develops. And the DENDAO for Den as a whole call is this Thursday, December 8 at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UTC. Watch for the post in the DENDAO lair for the agenda and a link to join live. Everyone's welcome to join. You don't even have to have your camera on. It's more than anything just to get the feedback as efficiently as possible. And usually pretty interesting conversations on that show. So now we're going to move to the World Blockchain Roundtable updates. Make sure you watch and share last week's episode, which was on blockchain architecture. The more views it gets the first week, the more lot all of the participants will get. And episode 82 will air this Thursday, December 15th, live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central US time. The topic is privacy coins. So make sure that you go into that post and leave a question or a topic for us to discuss. Pretty interesting topic, pretty valuable topic to know more and more about these days. And also, there is a Roundtable DAO result, vote result, which essentially was, I made it to allow and recommend that people participating in the roundtable can ask questions or request discussion about blockchain topics that are unrelated to the current episode theme. So next week is about privacy coins, but if you had an actual blockchain question, unrelated to privacy coins, not something about the news or politics or something else, but if it's a blockchain question, it is resolved that you can now totally be supported and be rewarded and get your question aired and answered. And that's important because that's what the roundtable was really about, that anybody can come with any question. And we have the topics just so that we have something to talk about and to kind of center the questions so they're not, it helps, sometimes it helps people to decide, oh, I'm going to ask something about X because that's the topic. I don't have any other questions that come to mind. That's why we have the topics that happen per episode, but this will open it up to all other blockchain things. And there is, speaking of which, a theme suggestion post up, which means you can essentially reply with a theme that you want us to discuss in January. The themes will be organized by their energy votes and then placed into a DAO vote next week. And that vote will run up to a week until it resolves, and then we'll have January's themes ready. So anyway, so get in there and do that right now. In fact, I need to do that. I've had a past 2 months I've meant to put something in and didn't get a chance to. So that is all of the updates. We're gonna have the AMA right after this.
Now, more than ever, our data is at risk. Our supply chains are in jeopardy. Our systems are broken, and businesses feel powerless. Dragonchain gives you a different way, a safer way, a better way, and you have power over your data. Dragonchain gives you proof in an untrusted world. Build now at dragonchain.com, America's blockchain.
All right, so we bring the questions up and we refresh them. And the first question is Jacob Wayne. Do you think the LBRY ruling will shed light on the bias coming from the SEC? Or do you think the FTX situation happened strategically before the ruling to cast a dark shadow on crypto projects for the general public? I don't know enough, frankly, and I don't know enough about the specifics of the LBRY ruling. I know that it wasn't positive, and I think it was probably, in my opinion, unjust, just from the little that I do know. I didn't, I will tell you, totally agree with some of their defense. I think that they left a lot on the table, in my opinion, based upon what I know. I also know that they are, as is Ripple, very different cases from Dragonchain, which I, of course, know the most about. And I would say it did shed a pretty good light on the bias. I don't think that the LBRY ruling, however, was gigantic news when you talk about family conversations around the dinner table. Unless you're in crypto or finance or in very, very interested in something like that, the only people that, and even then, the only people you would be talking to it about are other crypto people, where you're going to share your disgust of how the ruling went in the SEC. I also think that there are very interesting. The more light is shed on some of their defense, the more I'm interested in the potential that there was collusion, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on. But there's some weird stuff that didn't make sense to me about what happened there. And as to the FTX situation, I think a lot of people do think that it was part of the theater. Whether or not Sam knew that up front or not is a question. It's very possible he did, but that I do think that happened strategically to cast a dark shadow on crypto projects, and it might have been related to the Ripple case and whatever is happening there, or trying to influence. And definitely, I do think it was intended to influence. "Quote unquote" lawmakers, that and how they are going. It's so funny that they immediately were demanding regulation, and I'm like, guys, you guys could fix all of this. Not that it would be simple, because it wouldn't. It's it's politics and it's governance, but it's far simpler than what they've been doing, which is sitting on the back, taking money under the table from all of the usual suspects, as do the same happen with regulators. So, the lawmakers could fix this were they to actually be lawmakers. So let's go next. Crypto Texty is a good question, Jacob Wayne. By the way, I voted up a lot. I voted almost all of them up a lot. A couple I did not vote up as much, and one I voted down. Just so you know, just to be transparent, but as is my right, I have energy. Crypto Texty, why is the tokenomics such complicated? Lore, matter, and there's also Dragon, unrelated if you're talking about Den, and energy. Wouldn't it be much easier. Energy isn't a token, by the way, to use one token as most of the other crypto blogs do. Why was it chosen to be this way, and how did it originate? So you can look at the white paper. And I'll go quick just so you understand. This is not by any measure a full accounting of it, but energy exists as an intermediary. Why? Because let's say, fast forward into the future, matter's worth $5. Would you pay $5 to post a reply? You know, would you even pay, would some people even pay a nickel to post a reply? Maybe, maybe not, right? And so what energy represents is a scarcity, which is essentially based upon your reputation built up over time, which is how much matter you have. And reputation is not only how much you've earned, but also how much you've kept. It signifies some rough measure of your reputation on the system. The more of that you have, the more energy you have, and yet you still have scarcity. Even I, with, I would say, a pretty massive amount of matter, because I've never taken it out of the system, am sitting with a tremendous amount of energy every day. And I don't use it enough, definitely, but I run out often, because I will say, you know what, I'm going to put a reasonably large amount of energy on, you know, as these, I think I voted up, 10,946 energy on at least a few of these replies. So hopefully that will see, you know, consensus will show, and you'll see some matter out of that. But the point is, it provides the scarcity that comes back to you. So it's just kind of a time and reputation-based scarcity. So that's energy, right? Lore is, as it's described, lair ownership rights, meaning I have the ability to do things with the creation aspect of layers, how, you know, and with the LCP process specifically laid out the behavior that we wanted to come to consensus on which layer should be created, right? That's why that's there. You have one lore per lot. You didn't mention lot, by the way, which is the layer ownership token, which is literally an NFT, which gives you governance and some level of control and a few special rights like free edits and things like that in a community. And there's, you know, very interesting aspect to that, to say, what, you know, why does that exist? It's because we needed a way to provide governance inside of either community created from the LCP process layers or business created layers. You know, it's a way that a business can say, look, I'm going to give to all of my community members a lot based upon their activities, which gives, you know, you look at the Super Happy Dragon Lucky, but the very first one we did, and I think probably the most clear, is the World Blockchain Roundtable lot, that the people literally across the board, the people who are most involved in either producing that show, including the roundtable itself, and or contributing to that show, have the most power in deciding that show. And that's why lot is there. Matter is there for, as I described before, it is what generates energy, which is used in the system. Yes, there are, you know, tipping things and various other elements. We're hoping at some point to have the ability to buy lot with matter, which is a, you know, directly measurable relationship depending upon the layer and the time. So yeah, it's complicated, but the great thing is you could give this to grandma. She wouldn't have to know a thing about what I just described, and it would still work. And it would work better and better over time the more she does know about it. So that's the point, you know. And you guys, some of you, not you in particular, Crypto Tech TV, but some people have, you know, gotten bent out of shape over the complexity involved. And I always have to say, look, I'm here to give you as much detail as you deem appropriate, as you want to know. I'll show you, here's how the sausage is made. There are some things that work really well and some things that, you know, we're still trying to figure out the best approach in some areas. But the point is, that complexity is behind the scenes so that the front end can essentially let a person deal directly with this complex crypto system without needing to understand it. Which other system could you send grandma to interact with? Where you don't have to tell her how to use MetaMask, and also don't ever mention MetaMask on Twitter or anything if you're asking someone something, right? Doesn't exist. And we have some notable improvements coming, including with the identity itself and a couple of other things that have been planned for a long time, but we've had to wait on others and projects and funding and things to happen. So things like that are hopefully coming soon. We'll see. Okay, next. You only get one credit, but I will answer both questions. Crypto Texty, from the technical points of view, what's the best language, I think, to learn now and in 2023? What developer skills would be in big demand in the nearest future? What's your advice? Where to start for newcomers in the cryptocurrency industry? I would if it were me, I would steer clear of cryptocurrency specific stuff. I mean, sure, look at Solidity. It does definitely have value. You can make money using it. But really any language, in my opinion, is best. A lot of people will say Golang. A lot of people will say Python. And you mentioned Python. I know a lot of languages. I started with BASIC. Probably my favorite language forever was C, just because it's very, very clean and pure. But Python is a beautiful, brilliant language. Golang, although I'm not an expert at it, is super interesting. But almost any modern language would be worth learning, because in my opinion, my measure of a good developer is not in necessarily how specific they are with a language, but how much they can accomplish, and how easily they can use different languages so that they have the right tool for the job. Because there's learning bash scripting is remarkably important. Even learning Perl is important, even though a lot of people will knock that. There's some super interesting aspects of Perl that are good. So just learn the language. And, we use a lot of Golang now. We still have a lot of Python. We still have a lot of Node.js. So, that's what we look for, but that's more specific than it needs to be. Let's see here. So next, Jegs. So this would be the third to be credited, I do believe. What do you think is the likelihood that Binance gets charged and collapses? Do you think that would be a good or bad thing? Geez. Charged for what? I don't know. There's some weird drama that I saw yesterday. I marked some things on Eternalize this on the Eternal just because they were interesting, but I have no idea of what is charged even. But all of the central exchanges, in my opinion, should need to be careful, because I do know that there are some that are pretty well legit. I mean, Kraken comes to mind. I think philosophically, even though they're a centralized exchange, they seem to really hold the philosophy to heart. They're not fake. They really are crypto people. They are really there for the right reasons. They'll tell you, don't leave your crypto on this exchange. You have the keys. You use them. I think that they're one of them, and they have the best logo of any of the exchanges. Binance has always been weird because there's been so much money there, so it's hard to tell. Now, I know people who know some of the the top people, some of the earliest people there, and I generally consider them to be ethical people. So you'd have to think that there's some level there, but at the same time, I have no idea, because the whole paying to get listed and all the stuff that they used to do, which I think got us on their bad side back in the day, because we don't do that, is questionable and iffy. I don't know if they've moved past that or not. I don't know where they're based. I don't know what kind of Chinese Communist Party influence might be there or not. I have no idea, right? So there's a lot of weird questions there that I would have, but as to putting a likelihood, I probably can't do that. No idea. I would have called out, by the way, FTX early on as question. There's some weird stuff there that Sam came out of nowhere. Oh, he's a genius, and somehow pulls that amount of money in is odd. And I'd called that out way back, but you just don't know if they'll ever get charged. I tend to think that a lot of bad players don't get charged because it's easier for them. They just throw money under the table to the right place so they don't get charged. And the ones like FTX that somehow do get charged is likely because they upset the wrong person, or didn't pay off the right person. I have no freaking clue, right? Good or bad thing? Probably a bad thing, especially if people lost money. But maybe a good thing if it is, again, if there is a lack of ethics and it cleans up the space, sure. All the number go up stuff that is constantly pushed by all the hype that they have participated in the past has been notably bad and led to a lot of the crap that we've seen in the past year. Okay, so we're going to go past. We're going to go ahead and answer these next ones quickly. Let's see here. Alexans, I think, is next, right? Following the new article on Dragonchain Enterprise NFTs. Some time ago, there was a pre-announcement about an NFT platform built on Dragonchain. Can you talk about it? I can't talk too much about it. I can give you maybe a small update, but I'd have to talk to the team to do anything else, and there's nothing planned to publicize any of this yet. Was it canceled due to the new SEC notice? No. Was it a hype because of the market situation? No. 2023 can't answer. 2024 can't answer. We're still working with that group, and they are looking for funding through whatever means. And it is a notably exciting platform vision that I'm not going to go into here, and with some obvious and pretty clear reasons for a couple of the partnerships that are involved. And it is what I think should already exist, and the fact that it doesn't is a sin, like most things in this industry. The fact that nobody has actually built what should have already been built is pretty telling. But either way, hopefully we'll get to build it, and we will see. It's definitely an amazing team, really good people. Okay, next, Trogdor. As always, with his enlightening questions, how are the 70+ sales reps across the world doing? By the way, I don't know that they were ever said to have been quote unquote jet setting. I do know that we had a lot of people over the world, just like, we have upwards of 35, 36,000 Dragon holders right now. They're all over the world. I don't know how many of them you would consider to be jet setting. Whoever's paying your bill for coming in and posting all of this stuff every week, are they jet setting, or are you? Any customers to announce? None to announce. We definitely have some customers, but guess what? I'm not going to announce them to you or to your reply, Trogdor. And you're the one that I voted down, by the way, just to be honest and transparent. And by the way, those sales reps, I should note, a lot of them were community members who want to help out. So if they have network, or if they, if you have network, if you know somebody who could use this tech legitimately, you'd get far more value, provided you're not just a paid shill or something, which I'm not accusing you of, but it would be telling if you were either to essentially bring in a lead, bring in someone who could use the tech, someone that you might get a foot in the door with, or frankly build something yourself. That's the most clear. If somebody's not doing something right, freaking do it yourself, right? If you hate the way we're doing this, why have you not sold something? How easy is it, right? So there you go. That's the last one. And fortunately, Trogdor does not get an NFT either, because he wasn't in the top 3. Apologies. Okay, so that's everything there. Let's go now to the close out. Oh, featured content. I'm missing featured content. First up, let's see here. And I'm going to make sure if I can, I'm going to open it up over here too, because it's a small screen for me. So Alxons, this is a great question yet, by the way. I've not had time yet to go through all the comments and provide any input or anything, but doubt about lair name and copyright. So I proposed the creation of the Star Wars lair a long time ago, although I've always had doubts about the legality of the name. Can I use that copyrighted, and I don't know if it's copyrighted in as much as it is trademarked name. Technically, if I include it in the description, it's an unofficial community. There should be no legal problems. Even if someday the franchise claims the name for itself, we'd only have to change the name since the lair is legitimate as an unofficial community. So part of the, I will say, you can look at how others have treated this before. Reddit subreddits, there is a Star Wars subreddit. There is a Linux subreddit. I'm sure there's an NFL subreddit, which are most often created and owned by community members. Occasionally a brand will come in and buy them or threaten their way in. Hey, you have to hand it over or we're going to sue you out of existence and get Reddit to close you down. The same thing exists on Twitter. And there are set rules on these platforms. We have tended to say, well, we don't know. We're not going to go to a lawyer and ask him this because it's not worth it. And yet, if someone comes in, obviously, and says, hey, you can't do this, then we'll require the lair to change it. And there are even potentials if they needed to decentralize or something else in the future, that's possible as well. But how do I say, with trademarks, it is interesting because they can, and the thing that sucks about law is that it is so arbitrary that it tends to be the party with the most money that gets their way, more so than it tends to be the person that is right or has the whatever rights by law. And a lot of lawyers probably disagree with that, but they're full of it because if somebody put up a brand name, a trademark name for a very small company that could not afford to go hire a lawyer, or it wouldn't be, it would not be good enough for their bottom line, they're going to get away with it. But if you do something against Disney, Disney owns senators, and they can make copyright last for hundreds of years, or as long as old as Mickey Mouse is. That's how long does a copyright last? Oh, let's look back at history. How old is Mickey Mouse? That's how long copyright lasts. And that's the standard. It's the Mickey Mouse standard. And it's an interesting thing. So, we'll do whatever is prudent and necessary, and that makes sense. And yet, with all the governance involved as well, you'll get a say. So, okay, let's see here. Next, we go to notifications and improvements for the notification from J. Sid Meyer. Since this site is still in the process of improvement, and I think it always will be, let me share my thoughts. This is not much, but I think we need to make the notifications more visible by making the alert dot. I'm assuming if you mean in the website, as you can see on the side. I don't know if you can't see it on this right now in the UI, but there would be a little dot over on the bell or in the chat to show you that there's something to go click on and look at. By making the alert dot red instead of blue. When I'm using my Android phone, I often miss the notification because of the blue color, which is interesting because I like the blue better than the red, because the red would think, oh, there might be some warning or error. But I get it, and some people would prefer green. Ideally, we'd let you choose, right? But I would be open to saying, hey, let's change the dots to red, right? I'm open to making that a DENDAO vote. Not a big deal. Be a pretty simple change. And can we display the number of updates we have in the notification? I think that the reason we didn't put the number of updates was because of the styling and the font and what happens when you have more than 9 or more than 99, that it becomes harder to style on the vast number of browsers and mobile browsers. But that said, in the very least, we change the color, and maybe we could just say, 1 through 9 or a star. If it's more than 9, maybe it's just a dot or a star or something. We could do something like that. It would make sense, and it would be a valuable thing. And by the way, anyone can make that suggestion with a DENDAO proposal. It would be a MISC proposal. In the future, it would be ideally it would even provide code or something very specific. Here's the exact thing we want changed and how we want it changed, formula changes or whatever else. What I'm going to start doing, it's either going to be me, and maybe we make this a program of DENDAO itself in the future. And if it were a program, it would be something where people could, let's say once a month, propose a denizen who can become a member of the DENDAO lot ownership community, where those are the people that can actually propose DENDAO measures, governance issues. In the meantime, any of us who have them can do it ourselves. So I'm probably going to do that to a few people, and then maybe I do that to a few people who've been contributing consistently of late, and then maybe we make a program out of it so that it's a monthly occurrence, right? Where a new DENDAO lot is minted and some denizen gets it, right? That way you can come in and make a vote, you can create a vote, you can create an issue. Anyway, that is that. That's all of the featured content. So you guys will also get a split of the created lot for the show. Now we go to merch. So the new merch is "We Believe Sam," and also in Latin, "Death to Number Go Up." Very fitting stuff. They're all $1 over cost to make sure that we don't lose any money, but no coupon code needed. So they are relatively inexpensive compared to other things. Nothing's cheap there, of course, but $1 over cost either way. And in closing, make sure you watch Super Happy Dragon Lucky next Tuesday. Watch the World Blockchain Roundtable on Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. Follow Dragonchain, Real Denizens, Jojo Row on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Den, and everywhere else. Like, comment, share. The more this gets out there, the more lot created. And also the merch is, I didn't mention that, at dragonchain.store. So just go to dragonchain.store. That is it. See you next week. Thanks.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.